Good evening, November Foxtrot. Hello, hello. This week we're welcomed by
I was reading
Jacob.
Evening, everyone.
Evening, Jacob.
Jacob from Mission Tailors.
Daniel, guest comment. Why are we
Hello.
scheduled for 1940?
Right, so basically, for those that don't know, when we set the episodes up, so we set the episodes up about half an hour to an hour, like half an hour to sort of 20 minutes before we go live. On YouTube, that starts the stream, but there's nothing on there. So for the people that are sitting there on YouTube, they get like a little notification pop up to say, you know, there's a stream starting or something like that. But it's not started yet. So it always starts at 8 o'clock. On roughly around 8 o'clock. Somewhere between 5:02 and 5 past.
Shame on you, Daniel, for not knowing. No, not sorry, Daniel. Shame on Daniel for not knowing it's been 8 o'clock every other week.
Hi Daniel, hi Kieran, hi Harry, hi James, Les, Terry, Adventures of Zulu, John Smith. Good evening, welcome in.
Evening all.
Daniel Brewer, hello. It's been a while.
It has.
Hello.
So yeah, we're obviously joined by Jacob from Mission Tailors this week. Jacob's going to be talking about all things sewing and making things and bespoke gear. And no, I was trying to come up with a pun for those that have kind of just clicked into the episode. I've
Tailoring.
put a little spiel together. Tailoring,
tailoring.
yes.
Hence, Mission Tailors.
Exactly.
Although
I think Jacob's possibly just
clever
frozen.
name.
Oh, he's frozen. Ah.
No, he's just very stern faced and staring at you.
It's very stoic.
This went well. I shall send him a
It
message.
looks very regal.
Yes, please.
We got a man down.
Hi, Tactical Dad's Airsoft. I don't think we've seen you before. Hello. Stephen
Tactical
Whitehead.
Dad's
Ryan.
Airsoft. I like that.
Good evening, Ryan. Stuart Smith. Hello. Rage.
Sounds like
Hello,
this
evening,
week.
Cockwombles. Pegasus.
Womble,
Juggles
yes.
Airsoft blog. Cool. Well, loads of people in tonight.
Yeah. I'm just messaging
Whilst we're
him, don't worry,
fixing
I'm on it.
Jacob, shall we
Just
roll into the
waiting for
news?
For Jacob to come back.
Yeah.
I think his internet might be sharing Mike's internet. Oh yeah, sorry, yeah. Okay.
Let's roll into the news while we're waiting.
I take my gun and I go pew, 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 pew.
News. So, we've obviously had a week of interesting things. There was NAE last weekend. Jacob's gone completely out. Andy, if you could just deal with that would be great. We've obviously had NAE or National Airsoft Festival last weekend. We've had Military Odyssey this last weekend as well. So obviously lots of opportunities to buy kit.
That was good.
Which was quite good. You obviously went to Odyssey last. Do you want to talk about your purchases or anything like that? Did you?
I really
find
enjoyed
anything
Odyssey,
good?
mate. Yes, I did. I made a couple of purchases. I purchased a new Woodland DPM basher because I still can't find my current one I did have, which I picked up for £20, which I was quite happy with because the bag, although the outer carry bag was quite old, when I took it out, it was pretty much brand new. So I thought I was gleaming. So yeah, well happy with that. And I picked up an MTP Bergen for £10 because the front pocket had a ripped hole, which I was going to take off anyhow because I've modded it. And I've done my first bit of moddies. So there's my £10 Bergen. Pepper's one was a Woodland DPM. This is an MTP.
Sorry,
from Military Odyssey.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had 3 spare Osprey utility pouches knocking about, so I've stitched them onto the front, and yeah, so I've modded that. So that was my purchases from Military Odyssey was a basher and a £10 shortback Bergen, which was an absolute bargain. And Les and Terry and John and Tom were very, very cross that I'd found this Bergen before them. Just come walking up in between all the stalls like, oh.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's all right. That's fine.
You missed Mike's lovely intro to your interview.
Yeah, you looked very stern for a second.
So yeah, that was my purchase. It's a great show as well. Yeah, you froze like that.
I've got a couple bits.
I was like, yeah, that's good. I like that look.
I got two of these. I think these are. I can't remember what they're called now. Trip mine posts.
Trip flares.
Trip flare posts.
Yeah, what they're called, sticks.
Which you can obviously put in the ground. You can use for a variety of things. I've seen these used for cooking meat over a fire as well. So you can obviously put meat through a stick and rest that on there. You can rest your gun on them. You could use them as some sort of poking device if you wanted to.
Back
So yeah,
scratcher.
I've got a
Make
couple
it
of those for £5. And my little
Lovely.
prize purchase. I actually got two things more to show you. So got some mine tape for 50p. So this is the sort of plastic.
Just like marking out
mine
CQB
tape.
type area stuff.
Basically, yeah. So where we're doing some training and bits and pieces of that, I thought 50p, you can't argue with that. And then I got a Keeler jacket. I'm very excited about my Keeler jacket. I got a Woodland DPM Keeler jacket. This was £50 from Airsoft World. This is brand new, and it's so nice. It's very, very lovely. So yeah, I won't be getting wet.
Fair play, mate. I'm still yet to receive a link from you for that and look it up.
I sent you a link yesterday with it on. If anyone's interested, they are on Airsoft World. They are £50 a jacket. They're very cheap in comparison for what you're getting. They've got a whole load of different sizes. So go and fight over those. I don't know how many they've got left.
Good one, Mike. No, nice purchase, mate, like that.
Yeah.
Very nice, very nice, very nice.
Any purchases on news, Andy or Jacob?
No, I haven't
Yep,
bought
I
anything.
I bought an Australian
nice.
water bottle from Platter.
Oh, very nice.
Why not? Got a few of them. And some YKK zippers.
Australian.
Oh. What was the?
Because
What?
why
That was
not?
Australian water bottle.
Obviously.
Well, it's made by a company called Decor, made in Australia, but Platter sell them. They're like 1 litre, very square. They're
Oh, I
just
like
quite
that.
compact. And they're really light and super cheap.
Ooh.
Do you make a pouch for them yet?
Funny you should say that. there may be something in the works.
Yeah.
Ooh. Tempting.
Do you ever just like?
Fair play.
I mean, is there anything, Jacob, that you ever go, I wish I had a pouch for that. Like you just like because presumably you are literally just like, I need this. I'm just going to make something.
See, funny you should say that. Yes, but I'm too busy doing everyone else's stuff. Do you know what? As boring as it sounds, I really want a new work bag that takes like my laptop. I've got like a split ergonomic keyboard, so I want something that has a little pouch for everything inside it. And
Yep.
but that's been on the cards for like a year. And I got as far as getting samples for like liner fabrics in many different colors, from like a luminous pink to like black, tan.
See, what you want is camo outside, like a real dark camo, and then just open it up and just bright pink. Like,
Yeah, so
there you go.
I've even got fabric set aside, so I want to do it in a tricolor desert. So like that old American tricolor desert pattern. I got a couple of meters of 500D for that, and I got it all there. I just need to find myself a weekend to do it.
It's like you find builders and like electricians and stuff like that just they never get any DIY done because they're always too busy doing other people's houses.
Yeah,
So-
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Les says, Mike, what the fuck? That was priced at £75. I know, bud. They are for some reason cheaper on the Airsoft World website. They are £52.50. Just go on the airsoftworld.net, search Keeler. They've got the trousers and the Woodland DPM jacket if you're interested. Ryan James says lots of blokes use them on Fizz.
That does look very
Apparently,
nice.
they also fit a JJ's pouch well. The Australian water bottles.
Yeah, they're good. I think
Ooh.
honestly, me and my buds, we bought like a couple of boxes of them. They worked out at like £3 each. It's incredible.
Are they
Nice.
quite strong?
So what's
then,
the-
being
Interesting.
square?
Yeah, like they flex a bit, but like I'm pretty sure they're like Australian military issue or something. But I could be talking out my ass. All I know is
Do they have
Flat
a,
Attack sell them.
In the lid, do they have like a seal in them, or is it just like a plastic on plastic?
Yeah, there's like I don't know what it is. There's like a white, almost feels like foam.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
like the
they
bottle.
don't leak.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they don't leak, so they're all right. This is just a fresh one, unused,
Mhm.
because it's near all my props for making stuff.
Nice.
Yeah,
Play, mate.
yeah.
Nice. I like that. I'll flip that up. That sounds
Yeah, I
good.
like that.
Other things, I don't know if that's allowed.
I think it is. I don't know.
Other things like definitely not a real.
We'll find out when it goes.
Yeah. They haven't kicked us off yet.
Nah, it's all right, then.
Just say it was a bauble.
No, we're
and
good,
hang it
we're
on your
good.
ear or something.
Yeah.
I had the thing today when I was sorting out my Bergen I just done a little bit of work to, is these off-spray clips for the armour, for the cummerbund that goes around the side, it's the same clip attachment as the lid.
Yeah.
So they can actually
those
slot
little
through the
T-bars.
top of the lid.
Yeah, so I would
Absolute
always keep
blind.
a set
I've got a
those
bag
in
of these.
Bergen. Yeah, super handy
Yeah.
for repair work.
So I'm going to be
Yeah, 'cause
having
those
them
buckles
onto the
aren't-
pack as well, because they'll go through the eyelets.
Yeah, they're not the most robust buckles, although they're full mil spec rated. But shit flies everywhere.
Oh, did we lose him?
Oh,
There we go. Back.
There we go. You back? No.
Is he back?
Maybe.
No, he's gone.
Question from James to you, Lance. Whilst he's back. There we go.
back.
How did you sew the pouches
back.
on?
I
With
used
a
a
thread.
waxed 1 mil really strong thread. It was basically a canvas sail repair kit type thing with a monstrous fucking needle like that, which was terrifying because I had to go inside the bag and then into the pouch to the edge, and I was just like, oh, please don't get my finger, because this needle's bigger than my finger. And it was like every time it was like, oh, yeah. So just a running stitch, mate, and then went back over it again. So hopefully it's strong enough, but I'll find out when I test it. I don't know how strong stitching for holding on a water bottle pouch has got to be. So we'll find out. It could well be shit, and I'll just end up sending it to Jacob to do properly, but which is highly likely going to happen. But we'll see. It was fun anyhow. It was good fun to try it.
Stitches off at the end. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. Look, with this stuff is because it's like a wax stuff as well. It's almost like a paracord, so you could almost melt it, and pull it back on itself, and then run your finger across when it's still really hot, and it just smeared straight into it. It's solid, pretty good. So yeah, it was good stuff. Good material, and it's wax as well, so it doesn't rot or nothing. Fingers crossed. If you start finding pouches on an event and my back comes back bare, it's just a bag with a sleeping bag in it, and it's like, oh, I don't know where all my other things have gone. Find
It's
them.
just not even that. It's just the straps.
Just the waistband. It's got lighter through the weekend.
Your wife is asking, "Where's your wedding ring?"
Oh.
Oh, I had to wash my hands, so they're covered in oil, so it's in the shower on the windowsill. Don't worry, I've not flogged it yet. Oh, shout out to the wife as well. Happy birthday to Louise for tomorrow. There we go. Birthday shout out.
tomorrow.
Happy birthday.
Lovely wife.
Oh,
It's
congratulations! That was the wrong one. There we go.
There we go. That's it.
Yeah, it wasn't a joke.
No.
Not a joke. It genuinely is her birthday tomorrow.
Oh, well, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Right,
Thank
so
you, mate.
we're obviously going to
I'm
be
sure she will have a very good
chatting
birthday.
to Jacob. So if you have any questions for him about Mission Tailors, about the stuff he makes, I've already had some questions of people sending me pictures of kit going, can he do this? So we'll be flagging some of those up. If you want to throw a question into the chat, if you could just put a little Q in front of it, it just helps us find it as we're progressing through. And so Jacob, do you want to just sort of start us off by telling us who you are? Explain Mission Tailors. What is it you do?
So, me, Mission Tailors, we do bespoke kit. People come to me with some bizarro piece of kit that they want to put in the pouch. Like, I don't know, some crazy person was like, "Hey, I want a radio pouch that I can rip off." And I go, "Yeah, sure, I can do that."
Who would do that?
I've done work all the way from one-offs, really bespoke bits of kit, all the way to unit level, sort of 50 off quantity of whatever. I've got a few standard bits of kit that I make, and eventually they'll be on the website. That's been under construction for like 2 years. It's just finding time to build up stock, because by the time I build up stock, it's sold again, and then the cycle repeats. But that's kind of it. Like, if you can think of it, and as long as it's not impossible to make, then we can probably do it. There are some things that I'll be like, are you sure? And I'll try and maybe push people towards something a bit more normal, or even off the shelf. So I'm not into, hey, XYZ brand makes this thing, can you clone it? Because it's not worth the time. Because you got to think, like, even companies like Cry, their markup is huge, but they're making thousands in one go. They've got the production line sorted, they've got tens, hundreds of people working on stuff, so they can sell it for, what it costs them. But for me to sit down, even if somebody sends me something to strip it apart, make the patterns from it, and then build it again, it could take days of time. And nobody's going to want to pay little old me, X pounds an hour to, build them this clone of something.
I did.
But,
and you regretted it afterwards, though.
Yeah, maybe. No, I don't regret anything really. I really so what got me started with this is I'm an engineer, so I like fixing problems. I like working out how stuff is made. It's started off with as an airsofter. I ran Danish camo for a good while. So I was like, that's unique. Nobody's got it. But can you find kit? No. You can get the odd bit of surplus kit, usually a Bergen or a rocket pouch.
Mm-hmm.
And that's no good to anyone, really, unless you're doing mil sims. And at the time, I wasn't really. So I was like, hey, well, I've got this multicam Pharaoh dangler. I was like, and I can buy the Danish camo fabric. Like, what do I need? I was like, a sewing machine, some thread. And I had never sewed anything in my life. So I asked my wife, I was like, hey, remember many years ago when you had a sewing machine? Have you still got that? She's like, oh no, I've binned it years ago. Oh, damn it. So trawling through Facebook Marketplace to find my first sewing machine, which I paid 10
There you go.
quid
That
from the old
beauty.
lady. Oh yeah. And this made all my kit for about a year. So this was about 5-6 years ago. So I made one Danish Pharaoh dangler, complete with zip. Whoa.
Still working.
Nicely
Still
done.
working, yeah.
Still
and
working.
I added in some webbing so I could tie in, my torch and my BFG priming rod and all that sort of stuff, so I wouldn't lose it. And it's seen better days. It's well worn, but it worked well, held up well. Not using spec thread or any real knowledge at all. But that probably took me about 2 days. And it's like 3 bits of fabric. But I learned a lot. So it is more accessible than people would probably believe. Because for example, so as an electronics engineer, you open up a piece of kit and you look at the PCB and you go, oh, bloody hell, that looks complicated. And it's the same if somebody's looking at like a backpack, they open up and go, oh, actually, there's a lot of bits and bobs here. But honestly, if you take any pouch that you've got and turn it inside out, you can then work out exactly how it goes together. Because most things, like 99% of things, are built inside out and then turned out. That way you don't have loose seams on the edge and stuff like that and fabric tearing away. What got me started was I needed some cool camo gear and I couldn't buy it.
No, fair enough.
Fair play. That's cool.
And
I like that.
Yeah.
And then after some research and some digging around, I found some mil-spec thread that would work in the sewing machine because it's designed for somebody to repair their t-shirt and not sew through several layers of 1000D Cordura. But I made an MRB style battle belt. It's missing a lot of the pouches now because I've not used it in years. But some S-Tac clones, a little Kydex knife pouch, a little BFG pouch, and
That's pretty cool.
not bad.
That's
Velcro
really
line,
cool.
and that was an absolute shack. Again, probably took me about a week. And since then, I've done some stuff like this for people, like some of my mates and stuff like that. And realistically, it's just not worth the time. Go and buy a Cry MRB belt. yes, you can only buy it in Ranger Green and multicam, but no amount of money will make me do that again. Even today. But yeah, so Mission Tailors kind of spiraled from there. So I started doing bits of kit for mates. So at this time, actually, it was whilst I was at university. So I was at Cardiff University, part of the Cardiff University Airsoft Society. Spent basically every weekend of my university life going airsofting, and I mean every weekend. So from like September until June, fuck studying. Let's go shoot some grown men in the woods.
Studying is rubbish, isn't it?
Yeah, but I started making kit for mates, and then I went, people started paying me for the materials, and some even offered to pay for my time. I was like, oh, sure, whatever. And then I went, do you know what, actually, this ain't half bad. And then I started reaching out, word of mouth, for a couple of years, and I was like, do you know what, I'm going to start an Instagram, and blown up from there. And if you guys have noticed, I get every other day, I get a message like, hey, you guys still making stuff? So I've not actually posted on Instagram in probably a year and a half.
I noticed that actually. I was like, oh, why are we still doing it?
Yeah, every time I used to put a picture up on Instagram, I'm not even kidding, 3-4 months worth of work overnight, and you just can't keep up with it. So for now, a lot of my customers are repeat customers at the moment, or I'm doing a lot more stuff for units and other companies. Which is a bit easier from my point of view, because making 50 of one thing doesn't take up as much time as building 50 unique products.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all bespoke stuff.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of the beginnings and how we ended up here today.
So when you started, were you instantly good at it? Did you find, or were you like? Because I mean, I'm only coming at this question. I've done a little bit of sewing, and I very much have the whole fuck it, that will do realm of, I haven't quite cut that straight, but and the sewing's like a little bit wonky and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I don't know how well it'll pick up on camera, but there's some raw frayed edges. I would not sell this to anyone. So
unless you run a lighter over it first.
Yeah. So when I first started, there was a lot of trial and error. There was a lot of ripped up bits of kit that never saw the light of day. But like anything, really, practice. Keep making stuff, keep building stuff, and eventually you'll work it out. And there's not a lot of information, at least when I started, there wasn't a lot of information online about sewing stuff. Like, you go onto YouTube and you search sewing tutorial, and it's some lady making a dress or whatever. There's a couple of guys on YouTube, can't remember their channel names now, but they did a lot more sort of like outdoorsy stuff. But they kind of only really started posting videos after I'd already started and kind of learned the basics. And I'm sure there's books and magazines and whatever that you could look up and read, but I'm not that kind of person. I learn by just doing something over and over and over again. And no, when I first started, I was crap.
That's cool.
Bang wheel.
This thing,
I can't sew for toffee. I tried to repair a pair
That's
of
a question actually I had
and
from Mike.
The rip just got better. It just got worse. With me sewing, I was like, no.
Mike, did you ever sew that button on your trousers?
Yes, I did actually. Buttons I can do. Yeah, I did do that. I always sew a button on a completely different way every time, because I'm sure someone shown me how to sew. That's hard to say. Shown me how to sew a button some point in the past, but I go in and out, and then I'm like, oh, let's go this way now, and then kind of loop it round and then do all of that. So no idea if I'm doing it properly, but my theory is apply enough thread, job done.
Yeah,
fuck it, that'll do. There you go.
That's fine.
So
I like the way you said go in and out with sewing. Isn't that the whole point of sewing?
No, it's in because you got the button with the 4 holes, don't you? So I kind of go out of one hole and in the other, and then I don't know if there's probably
not always. Sometimes they have
it's like that. The housewife kits you get with the Webtex housewife kit. You get the little green band which actually goes through like the smock jacket buttons, and then you've got to stitch on one side of the band and then pull it through the button and then stitch the other. And I'm just thinking, fucking Jesus Christ. I'm going to put a zip tie through it.
Hot glue, cable ties, staples.
Staples.
I
You've
don't
got to
do
do the
both.
staple on the way out.
Didn't
though.
really need that button anyhow.
A belt
So
will do.
following on from that, Jacob, how long would you say it took you from kind of entry level, kind of what we're talking about, like bodging it together, to I guess a serviceable level? Because obviously, I think we'd all probably say that you're above serviceable now. You know, you're obviously making kit that you're selling, and you've got a good reputation for it. So I would say that you're quite a bit above that. But I mean, to the point of where it kind of started being good, I guess that level.
So I mean, let's say this is the first thing I made, and it doesn't look great. It's not pretty, but from it passes the fit from far test. And I ran that, as I said, almost every weekend for a year or so. So it never failed. And same with the belt, ran that for years, never failed. So let's say I just put loads of thread on. Like something will break, probably not the thread. So let's go for it. But from starting off to being confident enough to sell something, because there's that real stigma of if you're selling something, you've got to be 100% certain it will do the job. And it was probably a year and a half, maybe 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
But sewing kits for my mates, I didn't care if their kit fell apart in the field because, oh well.
It's just funny at that point.
Yeah. But no, to make stuff to sell it, so it was probably about a year and a half to 2 years. For me to be confident enough, and heck, by that point, I probably was good enough before then. But right at the start, when I started selling stuff, I would make something and I'd think, oh, that's not right. It's not 100% perfect. Rip it apart, start again, and do 2 or 3 iterations of something before I was confident enough to actually post it. But that is not really a sustainable business. So a lot of the kit that I chuck out now, although as close to perfect as I can make it, if it's not good enough, I'll just bin it and then just make another one. And 99% of the stuff that goes out was right first time. So it's it's good in there. Hopefully soon I'll be you'll see me in the shops cry Mission Tailors. JJ's.
Yes.
One day.
Absolutely.
The stuff that you throw away, you should just do on your website. You should have like a bargain bucket. Just say it was
factory
made.
Seconds.
Yeah, factory
This is
seconds.
Titian's mailers.
Yeah,
like raggy dolls.
Yeah.
Love the raggy
Love
dolls.
It's not a bad idea, to be honest. Because that's the thing. The actual material costs really aren't that much. It's the time that it takes to do stuff. So like a ferro dangler style pouch is probably 3 or 4 quid's worth of materials. Because I'm buying things in bulk. Like I'll buy a roll of multicam fabric. It costs like £2,000, but that'll last me a long time. You can make a lot of danglers out of that. But I charge anywhere from 35 to 50 quid for a drop down pouch, depending on complexity, because it takes 2, 3, 4 hours sometimes. And it's finding that fine balance
I'll be back in.
between charging enough to make it worth your time, but to say the factory seconds idea is great, even if it just covers material costs or whatever.
Junkle's Airsoft blog has just said they definitely buy factory seconds, so there you go.
Yeah, I'll be all over that. Just call it battle worn.
Pre-worn kit.
Pre-battle wear.
It's but then again, it depends what it is. So if it's a bespoke tear-off radio pouch for some nutter, nobody's going to want to buy one of those.
No.
But if it's a standard off-the-shelf bit of kit, yeah.
Especially with a second panel that you could rip off onto another piece of kit as well. That's just stupid.
Crazy.
Stupid order. There we go.
I don't know if you've got any questions, Lance. I know there's quite a few stacking up in the chat.
I did have one actually. Yeah, it was obviously going back to your first sort of sewing machine and that. At what point did you realise that this has not got the guts in it to sort of where did you go for upgrading for the bigger kit and stuff like that? Where was the transition from? Yeah, I've learned, I've got this sort of craft now. I've got this sort of nailed. I need to now really sort of business head on. I'm going to sort of put myself out there a bit and sort of start getting in the actual bigger kit that I need to sort of start rolling off these custom bits or multiple of one single item at a time sort of thing.
So it kind of happened in two stages. So to answer the first bit, when I progressed on from my first sewing machine, and it's literally like a Fisher Price, my first sewing machine.
When you held it up, it looked like a 1970s Star Wars toy. When the plastic just discolors a little bit, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. It's like five shades of beige, where each bit's slightly discolored differently in the sun. But what drove me away from that machine was it couldn't do mil-spec thread. So to meet the US mil-spec, because that's what is just kind of standard throughout the world, you've got to use basically at least bonded nylon 40s. In the UK and Europe we call it 40s, but they call it Tech 69 or Tech 70. Basically it's like the thicker nylon bond, so it's like 4 or 5 strands of nylon thread twisted together and bonded, so it's really strong but really quite thick. And that machine just wouldn't pick it up. The tension would be wrong and stuff would just fall apart. So I ended up buying, again off Gumtree or Facebook Marketplace, a really old industrial sewing machine, having done zero research. One day I was just like, fuck it, industrial sewing machine, and then just sort by lowest price, and I found this rusty old thing from some woman that used to fix her horse's jackets from a farm just outside of Cardiff, where I was living at the time. And I was like, fuck it. Borrowed a mate's van, went down there, handed her 50 quid, took this sewing machine back. My wife looked at me like, where the fuck is that going? I was like, that's going in my man cave. And yeah, so, and then from there, it was probably I had that machine for about a year. So it was strong enough to punch through basically as much fabric that would fit under the needle. And would run the proper mil-spec thread. So that was, let's say, quite soon. It was probably a few months from that to from my first machine to buying that to really step up the game, to be confident enough to start building kit for my mates. But the trouble is, so there's several different types of sewing machines, and that machine was really designed for sewing through light fabrics, clothing, t-shirts, trousers, that sort of thing. So for doing if I ever was crazy enough to challenge Roman in Ukraine and build combat gear, clothing, that would be the perfect machine for it. But that's just not my forte. Clothing is a whole different beast. But it's because it's basically the only feeding mechanism is on the underneath. So you've got something called feed dogs, which kind of look like little razor blades that pull the fabric through. And for light fabrics, that's fine. But for heavy duty stuff like the corduroys that we use for all the gear that we make, you need to feed from top and bottom. So there's something called a walking foot sewing machine. So you've got the feed dogs on the bottom, you've got the press foot on top, and they kind of move together. So the needle goes in, does the stitch, and then clamps down, pushes the fabric all the way through, then does the next stitch. And that just helps keep everything together. And I bought that machine basically as soon as I started my Instagram account. So that was my first proper. So my second industrial sewing machine, but my first proper sewing machine for building this type of gear. And that was about when I started my Instagram and really started to sell stuff. Did that answer the question? I can't even remember.
I think so. Yeah, I think you covered that rather well. So. Yeah.
I was quite impressed with Adventures of Zulu, because he's put in there, was it a walking foot? And when he first started talking, I had no idea what he was talking about, and then you mentioned it. So
No, it was not a walking foot.
Yeah.
It's basically just like a gruntier version of what I already had. But I ended up selling that for 300 quid. So I made 250 quid profit on that machine. So banging.
Nice.
Nicely done, sir.
Well, that's funnily enough. And James Zazuli says, "What machine do you use?" So, what machines do you use now? I know you've got your proper old school one that you bought.
Yeah, so I've got a few now. Is the internet fine?
No, you're still there. Apparently, by the way, there's a solar flare or something that's affecting.
Andy's just quickly, just to let everyone know, Andy's just put a message. Yeah, the UK's being hit by a solar flare, so internet is being very spotty, apparently, whether he's got it from the news or something. So, yeah, you have to bear with us. Well, bear with us, UK. We're gonna struggle on.
So much to my wife's dismay, but now I'm in the garage, as you can see, so she doesn't have to see him anymore. But I've got in here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 industrial sewing machines, and they've all got their own purpose, or at least
Bloody hell.
my wife.
Oh, that was good. I was going to say, are they all set up for doing an individual task for you, then, sort of thing?
Yes. So all of them are so 3 of them are walking foot. So one is a really big, it's a Brother LS2B89 something -705.
Yeah, I know it.
Really big, really big. It's this one here, actually. This. Oh no!
So full of shit.
I prefer the 98B personally. But
oh, look at that! That's a beast.
That machine there. So for comparison, like, well, okay, that's actually a really bad representation, but it's a beast. And that thing. So that's sort of my main workhorse. So 90% of the work is done on that machine. It's got auto functions. It runs off an air compressor as well as electric. So, like, when you, it's like the lazy man's dream. So when you start stitching, it automatically back tacks for you. You can set how many stitches it does. It goes through, and when you finish the stitch, back tacks again for you, and then cuts the thread. So it's really good for like really churning stuff out, and that's why I bought that machine. And that's what's called a compound feed, which is slightly different to a walking foot, although kind of still a walking foot. So rather than the outside dogs move, the needle comes down, and then there's a feed dog in the middle, and the middle presser foot pulls the fabric through. So you've got the needle, the presser foot, and the bottom feed dogs pulling all the fabric through. I've got a Jack H2, which was my first walking foot machine, which is behind there. I can't bring myself to sell it, although I don't really need it. But it's, you know, there's that like emotional attachment to it. It's like the actual work surface is covered in all the stickers of all the other stitchers that I'm good friends with, and all the brands that I've worked with, and it's just like a nice piece. But that's my backup machine, you know. So when things don't go quite right with the big boy, I can go onto that, and it will do 99.9% of the stuff. It just doesn't have any of the fancy features.
Right.
I've got a walking foot cylinder arm. So you might see them, they kind of look like a normal sewing machine, but rather than a flat bed, it's just got a tube. And I've got that set up for binding. So on the insides of pouches and bags and stuff, you cover the raw edges to stop them from fraying. And it's like a tape that's folded in half. So on there, there's the tape folder, a reel holder that holds the reel of webbing, and it all kind of feeds through automatically. And there's a little thing on there, and it all synchronizes together and does that. I've got a bar tack machine. It's an old brother, something or other, 300-400 maybe, and that does bar tack machines and box X machines. So it's like a fully automated. You hit it, you stick your webbing in your piece of fabric underneath it. You hit the button, and it just does like 52. You know, when you see like Molly, those zigzaggy stitches, just does that in a one. You don't have to do anything. You just put it in, and it's done. Super quick. Although it doesn't get as much use as I'd like, because I only really use it for like batch production, because chances are it's not got the right color thread on it for whatever the hell I'm building, and it's just quicker to use the machine that I'm already on to just zip up and down a couple of times to reinforce the stitch rather than turning around, getting onto the other machine, doing that, and then coming back. And then I sent these guys a picture of a over 100-year-old Singer Patcher that I've
I'll dig it out.
It's a lovely old machine, completely manual, hand crank treadle. So you start with the hand crank just to get the momentum going, and then there's this like foot pedal that you've got to like pump. But you'll see them in cobblers, shoe repair shops, because the actual presser foot can point in any direction. So it's super handy for mod work because you can stick your Bergen on, and then you put your pouch on, your water bottle pouch on it where you want it, and you put it on, and you can stitch that way, then you can stitch that way, then you can stitch that way, and back again without actually having to strip it apart. Yeah, but so I don't technically.
That was going to be one of my questions. Like,
yeah, sorry, carry on.
Yeah, because like when I did the bits on my bag, and I was just like, how on earth do you on like not much on an industrial scale, but for like yourself, is like it's quickly. Do you know what I mean? It's manipulating the bag around the machine and stuff like that. I mean, I struggled just like doing it freehand. It's like
yes.
Yeah. I think I get the gist of what he was asking.
I think your internet's got a bit patchy.
My internet took a massive dump there, by the way.
I love it when it cuts and we can hear the occasional swear word.
Yeah, just
Am I
done a massive
back?
dump, by the way. Is what
My internet just took a massive poo.
Yeah.
Am I back?
But to
Is it
answer
back?
your question,
Are we gone?
Hans,
He's back.
Yeah, you're back.
Yes,
You're
mate.
fine.
Slow, but
yeah, so before I got that patcher, I would have to strip a Bergen down. So turn it inside out, cut all the threads off the two sides and the bottom, and then you splay it out like a shellfish. I don't know. And then you can strip off what you need to strip off from there. You stitch on what you need. Then you put it back together, stitch back around the seams, bind around the seams, and then it's good to go. But it would take me... So I did a lot of Bergens for a while, and I could do a full Bergen mod. So that's like triple utility pouch, poncho pouch, mesh side panels, floating lid, change the straps for like thicker padded straps, and add 3D spacer mesh back padding on. And it would take me about 2 hours of Bergen to strip it and put it back together, and about 2 hours to make all the pouches for it and stitch the pouches on. But I'm not even kidding. I say the first one took me a bloody weekend.
wow.
But after a few, you kind of get used to it. But that's doing stuff in batches. So I would build up all the pouches, over a couple of days for 10 Bergens or whatever, and then spend the worst time of my life stripping 10 Bergens down to the point where I could mod them, and then do it like a Henry Ford line. But yeah, so most of the time you've got to really strip stuff down, which is fine, but you don't really want to do that too often. So if somebody's got a Bergen that's already been modded and they want something else done to it, I tend to shy away from those kind of jobs, because you don't know who's had the bag before. You don't know how good their craftsmanship is, or they don't like shitting on other people's work, but you just don't know. And the amount of Bergens that I've had said to me, and it's been in a point where I'm like, I actually can't do this because the fabric's frayed, or they've stitched the bag back together like 1,000 times, and it would legitimately take me a week to unpick every stitch. It's just not worth it. So I have had to send a few Bergens back, just saying sorry, like I can't do that one. Nice. So I always recommend, and it's not like a filthy money grabbing technique, but if whoever you go to for Bergen mods, if you think you might need it, put it on, because you can always strip it off. It's much easier to take things off of stuff than it is to add stuff on to something that's already been added to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a fair one.
Mm. Makes sense.
And yeah, you
as
might
well.
you might waste some money, but it's better than having to buy a whole new Bergen and paying for all the mods again. Although you could probably sell your old one and get most of your money back anyway.
You can never really
Cool.
have an empty pouch, though, can you? You
Oh,
go,
no.
oh,
If there's a
I
pouch,
might,
it
I
could be
might, I might use this
Pouches
pouch,
are there to be
and then
filled
go,
up. Yes.
right, I've got a pouch. It's going to get something shoved in it.
I love your pillow talk.
Well, yeah. I try, Lance.
So in terms of custom kit, we had a question coming from Les before the show, and he said, can you ask if Mission Tailors do these mesh pouches in DPM? I want them for my medic bag. Also, can you ask if they do these, but for the sides of a support Bergen, also in DPM? Also, can they put a liner in the support Bergen, as mine is starting to peel off inside, and it's leaving bits on my kit when I take it out? So
Who was that
Les
from?
is just...
Les.
This was from Les. So Les has come up with the entire order.
Les.
So I mean, if we pick this as an example, so this is obviously an existing product. It comes in a specific camo pattern. I think maybe they do one other. I'm not sure, but so in terms of sort of taking this product and adapting that, I guess, into a new thing with a different camo pattern, how would you sort of go about that?
So generally, because I've built so many different things from a good few well-oriented photos, you can basically reverse engineer a lot of things. So one thing that's really good for like sizing stuff is webbing comes in standard sizes. So molly webbing, your standard webbing that's on everything, is 25 mil or 1 inch. I know 25 mil isn't quite 1 inch, but it's close enough. So you can like zoom in, get your ruler on the screen, and you can then like gauge the size of everything else based off that. As long as like a photo like this, a nice top-down photo, super easy. The hardest bit is finding unique camos. So for this example, no, I cannot make that in DPM because there's no such thing as DPM mesh. I'd have to commission like 5,000 meters of it, and that's not what I'm into. But so meshes, you can get MTP mesh, multicam mesh, and then really from there, unless you go to China, it's like olive drab, black, tan, and those are kind of your only options. But if you want green mesh pouches, hit me up.
There you go.
Yeah.
And yeah, for the support Bergen, so what you'll find is a lot of older fabrics. Now, I don't want to scare anyone, but a lot of the older, durable, water-repellent fabrics, the linings aren't that nice to ingest. They are bad for you. But they, like every fabric, every coating does degrade over time. So whether that's your IIR treatment on combats, your brand new set of Prease is invisible after 50 washes, that coating's gone. And it's the same sort of thing for the water-resistant coatings on the insides of heavier fabrics. So after 10, 15 years, that rubberiness, that kind of slightly tacky internal stuff does start to wear off. But what I would recommend, if you don't, like, yes, I could line that Bergen, but I'd just buy stuff stacks. So get your waterproof dry line bags or whatever they're called from whoever. It'll be your cheapest option. Because I could strip it apart. I'd just buy liner bags, shovel your kit in a liner bag, chuck it in your Bergen.
Yeah, exactly what I do.
So is it worth doing Les is obviously saying his liner's falling apart, and I know you said it's obviously not nice to ingest or whatever. So would it be worth doing from a safety perspective, I guess, on that front? Or could you just line over the top of it, or
what he could do, turn it inside out, kind of brush it down, and you can get tent waterproofing sprays. You could line it with something like
Scotch
that.
Brite or something like that, or
Yeah, but whatever you've got there, you could line it with something like that, and that'll help seal it in. the fabric will still be structurally sound. But from a like carcinogenic point of view, you'd have to lick the Bergen raw. For it
You've
to
not
be-
met Les.
I'm sure there is someone out there that's
Les has-
probably
Les
done
has
that.
I'm only kidding, Les. I love you, bud.
That's definitely
yeah,
going to
that-
be a thing somewhere.
Yeah, I
Bergen
wouldn't worry
licking.
about it too much. It's more, it's just, yeah, old kit will degrade. I would say it would probably be cheaper to find a better condition support Bergen in DPM than it would be to strip it down, line it, and put it back together again.
So if
Fair
someone, say, had their own fabric or they found their own mesh and they bought a small section, would you be willing to work with that if they posted that to you? Or
Yeah. I've done stuff like that before. There was a guy years ago that wanted some Czech camo stuff made, which was super cool. It's the sort of thing that you can't really buy, although
Yeah.
maybe you can, but I just don't know where I would get it from. They sent me, a couple of meters of fabric and a few meters of webbing, and I made him basically like a full fucking loadout. Like he
Wicked.
managed to source like a plate carrier, but all the mag pouches, like drop down pouch, all sorts of stuff.
that's cool.
So yeah, stuff like that is fine. What I would say is check first before buying anything, because not all fabrics are made equal.
So what would you recommend as a minimum if people were thinking about that?
So for gear, the minimum standard is 500D Cordura, or Cordura is a brand, so any kind of nylon for mil spec or polyester is fine, 500D, and that stands for the actual like weight of the individual fibers that are woven together to make the fabric, and that's got pretty good abrasion resistance, pretty strong, and if it's got a water repellent coating on it, then a winner. So otherwise, your stuff won't be waterproof. I would always buy from UK, European, or US suppliers. 9 times out of 10, it's going to be decent quality. And that's not to say the stuff coming out of like China isn't good, but you don't know until you've got it, and wasting 6 weeks waiting for it.
Yeah. Got me thinking now.
Les says he bought a liner bag at Odyssey for 50p. So
Yep.
there you go.
Bargain. Happy days.
And another question come in from where was it? Adventures of Zulu. There's other people that I've just jumped out. Is it just you, or do you have other people making as well?
So I've got somebody that helps me out when times are busy, but the goal is to try and find somebody to stitch for me full time. Once I've kind of recently moved locations. Once I've sort of settled here, I'm going to look to find a small industrial unit, and then hire somebody full time to stitch alongside me. And at that point, throughput should be a lot better. But no, currently, most of the time it is just me.
So is this your full-time job now, or do you have
No, I
another
wish.
job that's...
Yeah, no. So I do have a full time job, and this is just the side gig, the side hustle. But there are points where I've definitely done more hours in the shed than I have done in the office, and that's not because I didn't work my full time hours in the office. So it's busy.
So I'm guessing if you had a choice, you'd be where you are now rather than in the office.
Yeah. I enjoy the bespoke custom stuff, like the working out, what's how would you make that? What's this cool, unique thing idea that somebody's got, and then like kind of working out the best way to do that. Can I spin that into my own product? Could I adapt it slightly to make it a bit more generic, and then spin that off as a product? And then hire somebody who can just sit there and just sew at the machine all day. That's the goal.
Nice.
Well, fingers crossed it happens.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
everyone
fingers
wants
crossed,
kit.
mate.
But looking at the chat, everybody wants a bit of kit from you. So.
Yeah. And I've got to admit, the stuff that I've got off you has literally, there's not been a single problem with it since I've got it.
No, same as that.
And I
can
think
vouch for the
Lance will
quality.
regret it. Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely, mate. Yes. I don't know if anyone. I don't know. Did my dangler? Were any more rolled off the production line, or is this a unique one piece?
So I've had people ask for them. I have done a couple in a similar fashion. So with the two 40mm pouches, but a lot of people want a smaller pouch because it is quite long.
Yes.
Although if you're looking for
He's
that
got a lot
underbelly
of
protection,
dangle
it's
to
good.
cover.
An awful lot of dangle there. It's the quality for me. It's just the sheer quality. It's like just everything. It's just all brilliant.
I think you've
brilliant.
had that for 2.5 years now, at least.
Yeah. Absolutely. Sorry, my light's playing silly buggers now. There we go. Let's move over there. It's back again.
Solar flare.
You've had that
Solar
at least
flares.
2.5 years.
I mean, I have to profess,
It's the little touches as well.
I've not actually bought anything from Mission Tailors, so
There's
Shame
always
on
time.
you, Mike Fraser.
Shame
Shame
on
on
you.
you, mate. Unbelievable.
But yeah, I mean, the stuff that I've seen that you've been making for people looks pretty good. So
And the
On that
so I
thread,
mentioned the rip-off comms pouch, which is there. That was
There
the
you go.
first one, wasn't it? Was that the first thing?
Yeah,
Or was it the
that was the
dangler, the
first
first thing?
That
That was
that
the first
was the
thing. So
first.
that can go
Yeah.
all my comms. I think it's got a little Kydex insert for 2 Bofangs, little loops for cables and that to come out of, and that can just go onto my plate carrier, or I can rip it off and chuck it onto my backpack or onto my chest rig. It lives on my chest rig because it works really well with that. So I do like that very much.
That one is a
Yeah.
one-off. I can tell you that for sure.
Here you go, look. So there's my patrol pack. So I had 2 of these panels made up by Jacob, and he even stitched me a blanking plate. Excuse the Velcro.
didn't make the noise.
Sorry, I didn't have a long enough shout in me, and then obviously I can take it off my chest rig and then just bosh it onto my bag. Oh, I got that. That's it. So that goes onto my bag, and then clips on.
That is awesome.
Quick way of transferring comms from bag to plate carrier or chest rig, whatever. I think it's just come off. That's it.
Yeah,
That was a
I
mine.
fun
loved it. It was exactly what I wanted as well. I was very, very happy.
We lads show? Yes, screw it. They can kick us off. Do you remember the pain in the ass this one was? This is when HRT stopped making this, and I went, I really want one. And he went, well, it's going to cost more. And I was like, but they've stopped making it. Make it for me. And literally, I've ran this every day, every game day since then. And it's absolutely
Nice.
brilliant.
Nice.
I've stretched out the elastic a little bit to take other things now. But yeah, absolutely cracking bit of kit that is.
Elastics will be the first things to go anyway. They're a pain
Yeah.
in the ass. Just inherently stretchy. The elastic goes, they become not stretchy.
Well,
But
they were originally made for pistol, weren't they?
Yeah.
But then I decided that no, I wanted 2 TQs in them to look baller. And TQs are slightly bigger than pistol mags, so it was just
yeah, a little bit.
On your kit then, Jacob, what has been sort of like your number one where you've sort of thrown something off the production line and people have gone like, oh, I need that? Like, what's been your sort of like your best selling bit of kit that you've sort of almost like a Mission Tailors exclusive bit of kit?
So
Whether that's been airsoft or for the forces or whatnot, or a bit of both.
So a lot of the recurring jobs, the high runners are for serving. It's although not branded, I don't brand it, but one of the biggest sellers, I actually just sell it on eBay because easy for people to find. But it's a PRR Bowman headset band in multicam. Because they're either in black in OD green, or if you're lucky, you might find a tan one. But I do like multicam little mesh bit with multicam elastic, and I sell loads of those. Absolutely loads of them. They're not expensive, but they're not cheap. I think they're 20 quid on eBay. But I a lot of those go, and I have had some people buy more than one but like not in one transaction. Like every few months they'll buy another one. Clearly somebody, like one of their mates, wants one, and they just buy it for them. But my biggest product, so I've got two, and they're designed.
That's these, isn't it?
Oh, kind of. Very similar. Very similar.
Okay. Sorry, bud.
Very similar. No, that's a cool product, and I'll talk about that after this actually.
Okay.
So I do.
Can I have a guess? Can I have a guess what it is?
What those are?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, go on then. We'll do that now. We'll do that now. Guess what they are?
I reckon they're watch covers.
Yeah.
Woo!
Are they?
Yeah.
They're awesome.
Featured on Grand Thumb's YouTube channel as well. For those that followed.
Only reason I know that I'm not gonna say that I'm really super cool, and I knew that because I knew that. Only reason I know that is because my brother-in-law used to use an old Bowman cover headset for his watch, and he went, "You know what you need to do to spare one of that?" I was like, "What's that?" He said, "Use it on your watch as a cover." I was like, "Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah,
nice one."
So it's it's basically the same mesh headband, but rather than like the loop at the bottom for the elastic to go around, I put like a little what's called a tri-glide or a square ring on the bottom. So then the bit that would go into the headset just goes onto that. So there's no knot, there's no nothing. It's nice and comfortable. And that's a bespoke product that I do for Sterling timepieces.
Cool.
That's
so
very
that was
cool.
probably one of the most recent batches. So there's probably, I think there's like 5 to 10 of the Coyote ones, 20 odd of the green ones, and like 50 odd of the multicam ones.
Yeah,
nice, man.
They came and said, hey, you know, the Bowman headsets that you use, because I imagine the guy probably bought one of mine off eBay or whatever, came to me, because I always stick like a little card to, you know, hey, you know, if you need anything, hit me up on Instagram. Like anyone that's bought anything from me, it's one of these ones. Like, thank you for purchasing.
Yeah, nicely done, sir.
So I always chuck one of those in an order because they cost nothing. So they probably found me through that and said, hey, we want this but slightly different. Can you do it? Sure, yeah, we can. And that's been a good one. We've done a few hundred of those over the last year and a bit. So it's good runner.
Fair play, mate. That's cool. I like
watch.
Yeah, and it just stops the reflections off your watch.
I'm guessing that will
So
fit
does
other
it fit any
watches, or
watch,
can you
or is
only
it
buy
only-
it with
yeah.
a Sterling? Sorry, Andy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we were answering the same question.
So I don't sell them personally through Mission Tailors. Just not worth it. But if you go onto Sterling timepieces, go to watch accessories, and they're all under there.
Oh, okay,
It's
cool.
something that, like, I could make them and sell them myself, but it's just not worth it for me to stock it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm with you.
But it probably makes sense to sell the watches and the accessories at the same place, isn't it? Really, because
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
that's the market there. They're going to be buying that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think they sent one over to Grand Thumb, and he did one of his like cam and concealment videos, and he showed it off in there, which was quite cool. But so going back for the serving, the Virtus plate carrier is a particular beast. The molly on the back is not even, so there's like, because it's designed to take that like exoskeleton back support weight distribution system that everyone just throws in the skip as soon as they get issued it.
I bought one. The DWD weight distribution system.
Of course he did.
I actually make.
Have you tried it?
backpack.
Does it work?
Yes, it's a nightmare. I can understand why everyone got rid of them. best
You have
money
to, like,
I ever
lock them
spent.
in. Yeah, there's like a button, isn't
Yeah.
there? You've got to lock it in to like make it rigid, and then press it again to like.
To be
loosen it
fair,
up.
the problem with it, I can probably dig it out for another episode, but the problem with it is that the base of the spine unit, so the unit which is kind of the compression bit, because it's adjustable, you just push a button on the side of your Bergen and you can adjust the height of it by just sort of moving around and clicking it in place. But the base of the actual kind of bit that sticks out needs to sit in a receiving pouch on your hip pad or your battle belt or something like that. It's very hard to buy that. Can't find those anywhere. I ended up taking a 9mm Osprey mag pouch, cutting the actual flap off of that and kind of mounting that on that. And then you have this really awkward, like, oh god, I've got to position that in. It's like right behind you, you can't see. So
Ryan's saying that
might not be
actually the
using it properly,
spine's
but-
actually been taken out of service now, anyhow.
Yeah, yeah, nobody used it. So I make two different back panels. So I make a back panel, which is quite a nice slim thing that basically takes like a water bladder, a radio, and maybe your wet gear. And I also make, I don't have any of those to show, but I also make like this started off as like an airsoft product, so it's what I call the slim pack. So it's kind of, it's a very thin bag. So it opens up to three or so inches, but has compression straps around the outside to allow you to cinch it in. And this is like a special, so it goes down the middle, and then you've got like the 2 half mollies, and then the outer one. So it's designed specifically for the Virtus, because otherwise you can put like a flat pack or one of the other backpack mounted, plate carrier mounted backpacks on, but they sit like off center, or they're like bunched up, or trying to stretch them out. And they sell really well. Sell them all the time. They're say mainly for like radio, camelback, and a few snacks in your wet weather jacket or something like that.
Mm.
Have you ever made? Sorry, I'm just going to cut in on the Virtus conversation. Have you ever made for the Virtus Mark 1 a hip pad?
Nope.
Would you be willing to make one? Because the Virtus Mark 1, the Virtus bag systems are basically designed to work in conjunction with the body armor and sort of battle belt setup together, which obviously they don't come together. So if you want to use that's the biggest problem I find with my Virtus, is that it's not designed really for kind of carrying on its own. So it has no sort of hip system. So
Yeah.
If you're willing to make one, let's have a little catch up after the show, because that would definitely be something I'd be interested in. Because at the moment I've tried using just a bit of some like really old janky belt that I had, and I wrapped it in like just a bit of foam and then sniper tape, and it was like, well, that worked for a little while, but fell apart. And yeah, the fuck it, that will do didn't last very long, basically.
Yeah. It's like, always up for making anything. Just depends. I can't, off the top of my head, picture what they actually look like.
No, that's fine.
But,
We'll chat after the show. That's fine. Cool. Right, so just very quickly, we're going to have a yes/no game with you, Jacob, in terms of stuff that you would be willing to make. So people have been submitting a few little crazy ideas. So,
here we go.
First one: would you make a Jaffa cake pouch?
Yeah, why not?
Tempted.
Yeah.
Or have you got something that will facilitate that already made?
So I do a TQ pouch that's like designed as like a pop-up TQ pouch. So you open the tab up, you pull it, and the TQ pops out. I could do something like that with Jaffa cake.
You could have
pull
a
it up and it
Jaffa cake
one.
distribution pouch.
Could you make was it like a Pezzle sweetie thing with a little door
Pez.
opens up?
The Pez. Upside down Pez.
Yeah, maybe.
Nom. Told you to get fucking silly, didn't I? Warned you.
You're the one that introduced the Pez.
Well, you said Jaffa cakes, and I just instantly thought, oh, yeah, distribution.
We just
distribute
roll
sweets,
with
Pez.
what we're given, don't we?
If anyone wants to contribute to this game, you've got about 30 seconds to get something in the chat, by the way, because I've only got a few of these lined up. John says, how about a pouch for the Stanley Trigger Cup?
Ooh.
Yeah, why not?
Cool.
That's about the same size as the ammo flask, isn't it? Anyhow, the stand is 12 ounce. Yeah.
Right, that's it. I only had 2. So that was it. That was the game.
Oh, your pants, Mike.
Sorry.
Oh, I got one. Mobile
Steve,
phone
what is
pouch.
it?
So
Do you do one?
Done already.
I've not. It's not something that I do, but I've done one of those like fold down chest mounted phone holder thingies, or for
Have
like
you?
the KDUs, the radio KDUs.
Yeah.
But they're a bit of a faff. I would probably end up just pointing you towards one of the off the shelf ones, because it's just not. I couldn't. They're really like specific to the phone and the size and whatever. So there's. It'd be cheaper to buy one of the off-the-shelf ones from Tactical Kit or whatever.
Okay, cool.
Steve Whitehead says
says-
that Aussie bottle looks about the
Oh,
size of a box of Jaffas. So if
Yeah,
we're
I was
making a
thinking
pouch
that.
for the Aussie bottle, we could get some serious Jaffa
maybe.
cake action in there.
I would say probably a lighter fluid bottle with more Jaffa cake size.
Yeah. If you take them out of the box, I'm wondering if they want them to pack in the box they come in, or whether just you
In
want
the
the
box.
internal.
Maybe a collab with Kydex Custom and do a rigid.
A rigid Jaffa
Kydex
cake
box.
storage pouch.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Yes,
Is this gonna be a
November
thing?
Foxtrot. We'll get involved with this somehow. Just tell us how we do
I
it.
am not
This will be
getting
amazing.
involved with Jaffa cake
No,
Kydex
definitely. I'll have
custom /
I
Mission Tailors
100%
storage pouch.
Yeah. I'll even contact Jaffa Cake tomorrow, and we'll see if we'll get them in on it, and we'll have like this mil spec Jaffa Cake dispenser Pez system. It'll be amazing.
And we'll send one to Grand Fun with a packet of Jaffa
Yeah.
cakes and be like,
Yeah.
mate, do it.
More moody European treats for the Yanks to get their teeth into. What the hell is a Jaffa cake?
then we can see the army contract coming out. It'll be the biscuit brown Jaffa Cake dispenser. You know, it'll have a NATO reference number.
Yeah, but
It'll be
what's the
amazing.
number one treat for like a serving soldier? What would be? We've said Jaffa cakes, so someone suggests Jaffa cake. But what is the number one sort of go-to treat for a grunt in the US or a serving soldier over here sort of thing? And what pouch
Crayons?
would the
Oh
Yeah,
no,
crayons.
chocolate chip cookies.
cookies would be the one?
Chuck
with it.
chip cookies. The Chuck chip cookie dispenser. It's amazing. It's
The
selling
the
itself.
Northern Irish American Marine.
Yeah, well. This is it. This is how we make our millions.
Mike did get very excited then, didn't he? Coconut bites. I've not seen coconut bites or Haribo.
Yeah,
Haribo
Haribo's
dispenser.
pretty popular.
Mm.
Jacob's like, oh fuck, what have I signed myself up for?
Have you got a Haribo? Have you made a Haribo pouch? You must have made a Haribo pouch for
No.
someone.
No,
What's the
but-
weirdest thing you've ever made, Jacob, for somebody? Like genuinely thought, right, if you want it, I'll make it. I'm going to charge you through the nose for it, so you say no, but then they've still turned around and said yes. Like, you know when a landscaper goes to price a job in for an absolute twat and puts it in for like 20 grand, they're like, yeah, okay, great. And you're like, fuck.
I really
a
hope
removable
before you
one,
answer,
yeah. A real
Before you
removable
answer.
radio pouch.
before you answer, I really hope it's something weirdly sexual. Like, it would just be amazing if someone's gone, do you know what I need? I need a tearaway, I don't know, handcuff dispenser or something like that. Just like,
Why has it got to be sexual?
it doesn't have to be. I just really want it to be. I think it'd be funny.
Mike's like on the edge of his seat, look. He's like this.
Genuinely.
Get ready.
So I've not done any sexual pouches.
Oh,
Oh, well, that was a mistake saying that on this lot.
Yeah.
I need a dildo. Hold up.
Honestly, weird stuff doesn't actually come up. I've had a few jobs. I couldn't recall really what they are, but there's definitely jobs that I've priced way too high, where I've gone either I don't want to do that, or you can kind of judge it. So if they're you look through someone's Instagram feed and you see they're an avid squaddy or airsofter, and you chance it, don't you? You price it way out and you hope that they say no, but sometimes they say yes. And then even then I'm usually like, but it'll be 6 months, and still hoping they say no.
Yes,
but
please. That's fine.
The most unique thing.
I feel like that was aimed at me and Lance.
I'll be out of prison by then, so I'll be able to use it.
But no, honestly, the
Sorry,
the
Mike.
most unique product I've made was your rip-off radio pouch. As boring as that is, it's probably the most unique. Like, I've had people
there we
send
are.
me stuff and I've built a pouch around it and ship it back to them, but it's usually nothing obscure. It's just like some random water bottle or specific type of magazine or whatever.
Right, okay.
You know what you need to do? You need to make a retention line for GATs and give them to the Marines. Or commandos or
So
whoever
they
it
don't
was
lose
who
them
lost
on training
over.
grounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a sling, maybe.
Do you know what I have done actually? I've done like a bungee clip, so not so much a sling for a rifle, but like a bungee clip. So not a 1-point sling, not a 2-point sling, but like it's attached to the side of your plate carrier. You clip it onto the rifle, and if you drop it, it catches it for you. So you know, but that was a one-off. It had like bungee cord in it, tubular webbing, so it had a bit of like spring to it. The hope was if you dropped it, it'd spring back up and hit him in the nuts or something. Teach him a lesson.
So maybe that was sexual.
Rifle slings and stuff like that. Have you done much around that, or has it been basically sort of bag mods or pouch mods and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I've done some rifle slings, done different styles of battle belts, although belts aren't really my thing, because like the MRB style belts are super complex and take forever, and everyone and their mum's doing like a FRV Ronin tactical style battle belt, so there's just no point. That, and everyone wants Cobra buckles, and they are bloody expensive.
But they are nice.
They are nice. They are really nice. But the metal ones, even at wholesale price, are still like 20 quid a buckle.
See, I wish I could get the buckle off my old webbing set, which is a transport retention webbing, and it's just like the bar, so you can put the strap through and put it back halfway, so it just pops out. It's like a really quick, stupidly strong. Once it's tightened up, you won't undo it.
Is that like the knurled metal bar?
Knurled metal bar in the middle. It's like basically like an overly sort of shaped outer, and the webbing just literally goes through and back on itself, and you just cinch it, and that's it. It stays tight until you release it.
Yeah, so they're
wickedly
called a roller
simple.
buckle.
Yeah, I think they used to. I think the SAS used to use them when they used to mod their belt kits back in the day. I only know this purely because I watched a video on it a couple of days ago, and they used to sort of scrounge the. Yeah, that's it. Basically it. But obviously a bit more heavy duty because it was actually a cargo strapping, like lashing point. Like lashing down pallets, so they cut the big green webbing strap, sort of metre and a half long, and that would become the belt for their belt kit, and they'd keep the buckle on the end, and that's what they used to use. And there's a way of putting the strap through, so you could you only put it through one side of the bar and fold it back on itself, and so then when you pull it, it can just pop open really quick.
That's cool.
They're wicked. I've got it on a belt kit somewhere. But yeah, that'd be good. Very, very simple belt, but an awesome buckle. There's none of the Cobra stuff for me. I don't like it because there's too much. There's too many working parts to it. There's too clicky. I like it to just be a simple in and out.
Really easy to undo. So like if you land on it funny, like Cobra buckles will just blow open. You got to be unlucky.
Yeah. If you because I funnily enough bought a couple cheap belts off of eBay. I think they were like £3 each. That had a Cobra-esque style buckle on them. And they've lasted like a good 6 years now. I mean, would it be a case of you could potentially buy some cheaper stuff, or are you sort of you want to obviously maintain your quality on that front?
So I could, yeah. There's knockoff buckles you can get. There's different brands. There's something called a Raptor buckle.
See that? Sorry, a roll pin belt. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
Thank you, Terry.
Yeah.
Good man.
Yeah. So there's Raptor buckles out the US, which is kind of like their own US Cobra buckle. And there are like clones that you could buy. I just don't. I wouldn't entertain it for. If somebody supplied it to me, I would use it, but I wouldn't go out my way and buy it in because I can't guarantee the quality. And I like to use stuff that I've either personally tested or somebody else has tested on my behalf. So a lot of the kit that I sell to squaddies that isn't like bespoke gear, a lot of it's come from. So like the back panel was something that's one guy wanted once, and I was like, okay, like I'll do it for you, but can you give me some feedback? What's good? What's bad? That sort of thing. And a lot of my products are just other people's ideas that they've agreed with me that I can adapt it slightly and sell it to the world. So I like to test stuff somewhat properly, and I'll always buy genuine material, stuff like that.
No, it's nice to know as well. Like you can tell with the kit that I'm sure Lance will back me up. The stuff that we've ordered from you.
No, mate, yeah, you can't fault it. You cannot fault it. Even the after sales stuff. I mean, I can't remember. Was it the Dangler Jacob I think one of the pouch was it slightly too narrow for what I wanted it to fit, or too big, and I needed it to cinch in a bit smaller.
Yeah, so the mag pouch lids I made too big. I made them for, or did I make them too small? I made them too small. I made them for an issued Glock mag, which is actually shorter than whatever it was you were.
Yeah, mine were WE the 45s. But literally packaged it back up, sent it back to Jacob. Within a week, it was back. Perfectly, just perfect, absolutely perfect. So, yeah, cannot fault the kit.
A lot of my orders these days are return customers, so hopefully that.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah. I can't, like I said,
confidence in it.
I cannot fault mine, like the stitches, and especially this as well, because obviously this has been ripped off and put onto other bits of kit and ripped off again, but then like, obviously the panel behind it stayed solid. I mean, the stitching is just, it looks brand new still, and it's just been dragged through the shit and the dirt, and it's just pucker. Awesome bits of kit. Highly recommend.
Yeah. I take mine. I literally moved mine. I'm going to refer to it as a HRT clone. Literally from my chest rig over to my plate carrier all the time. Like literally, when I start getting hot, it gets ripped off, and there's not a single problem with it at all.
Good to.
I'm conscious of the time. We've got quite a lot of questions queued up, so if we can try and do a few of them in quick succession, because I'm conscious that quite a lot of people have a lot of questions. It's a very interesting subject, clearly. So James C says, Jacob, any advice for someone wanting to learn tactical sewing / tailoring?
Get some kit, get some surplus gear, get some cheap shit, turn it inside out, observe it, give it a go. You don't need anything special. Even go to your local fabric store, buying some normal cotton fabric. You know, it's not going to be usable, but you can learn your techniques using very cheap materials. You don't have to go to wherever and spend 30 quid a meter on multicam fabric. You can use cheap stuff and just give it a go. Say, turn it inside out, and you'll see how it's made.
Yeah, awesome.
Not that one. I'll come back to that one. Stephen Whitehead says, Jacob, do you do repro kit? I'd be interested in commissioning some pieces of Argentine green leather webbing, maybe made out of faux or veggie leather. Would that be up your street?
That sounds quite sexual.
Leather. So I tend to not work with leather just because I've not really had a lot of experience with it. But you know, let us know what your requirements are, and we can work on it. As I said, I tend not to do repro kit if you can buy it. So, like, the clone stuff that I've made for myself has been, you can't buy a Cry MLB belt in Danish camo. So I've made it. And I've made, like, if somebody wants something in, you know, some obscure color that you can't buy, then I'm happy to do it. But if someone's like, hey, can I get a S-Tag pouch in multicam? I'd say, yeah, go to Tactical Kit, buy an S-Tag pouch in multicam.
Cool. Taig says, what's your opinion on laser cutting laminate fabric versus hand cutting fabric? Is it killing the skill? # robots are better at my job than I am.
Gotta love Taig.
I'd also just, obviously, Taig's from Kydex Customs. He's also just said mil-spec Jaffa Cake carriers are off the hook. So I think Taig's definitely down for this. So yeah.
It's just a shame because I used to live just down the road from them, and I've moved away now. So we could have been a lot easier. Laminate fabrics have their purpose, and I won't bore everyone else with the details. I think laser cutting fabric and building pouches out of it is quicker. It's a lot quicker. It allows you to get to market quicker, and you need very little skill to do it. And that's not to say the people that are making that kit don't have skill. It's if you've got a few £1,000 and enough space for a whopping great big CO2 laser, fire away, go ahead, do it. I don't personally work with laminates because I don't have a laser cutter. And it's not something that I'm really looking to get into. At least for now. Once I've got my big industrial unit and 50 grand burning a hole in my pocket, I want a fully automated laser cutter where I can load a roll on one end and pull it through, and it just like churns out stuff. And at the end of the production line, there's a pouch for Jaffa Cakes.
Love it.
I'm genuinely excited. Giveaway.
I really want this.
Vengers of Zulu says, can you do rescue equipment?
The kit that I build does not go through any regulatory testing.
I wonder if he means
That is
pouches
the best answer.
for rescue equipment, or specifically, like
So
actual kit.
I've
As in
yeah,
like
I've got-
orangey sort of stuff, I'm guessing, or high vis sort of type stuff, maybe.
I've got high vis orange in stock, ready to go.
Could you
yeah,
make me a
I've
high
got-
vis orange webbing set so I can wear on the railway for my tools and that to go in?
Yes, 100%. I'm down for that.
absolutely.
You can wear it with my sniper, my high-vis ghillie sniper suit,
No, I wouldn't wear that. No.
which I need to get back off, Ed, actually. Ed, if you're listening, can I have that back? When I see you next, please.
I would genuinely, I'd love a belt kit for work, just so I haven't got to hunk that massive great backpack down the track every night. Just all my bits and bobs around me. Very unique.
I've done high vis stuff for military units, for like their selections and trainings and stuff like that, Bergen covers and stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Can do high vis. Pouches, stuff like that. I won't make harnesses.
Awesome.
I won't make stuff that is there to protect your life because I don't want you coming after me when it breaks.
Fair enough. Yep.
Which you wouldn't, but if
Or
you
not
did.
yeah, not coming after you or getting just sued by the family.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Les says, can I make a toilet roll pouch with a slit to dispense the paper?
Isn't there one already made? Don't you own one, Mike?
You've got one of them, Mike, haven't you?
I have a toilet
In
roll
your
pouch.
car?
You can get them off of Miltech. It doesn't have a little slit to pull out the paper, but it does have like a central. You basically load the toilet paper and you
Essential?
pull it out the middle. Central. Not
Oh, central. I thought you said essential. I was like, oh, what's central about a
Essential
toilet
hole
roll?
in the middle.
I'll be honest with you. I've
It's
used
got
that
your
a fair
dual
bit.
purpose.
A fair bit. Having a kid, having a toilet roll in the back of the car that's kind of not going to get all banged about and dirty. I highly recommend that.
All right. Yeah.
Understood.
Yeah. Kenny Rebel says you could do helmet scrim bin for offcuts.
Yeah,
On your website
I
as well?
have got bags and bags and bags of stuff like that. Yeah, I think Dragon Supplies do them occasionally as well. So if you need it, give their website a look.
There you go. James C says, have you any advice for sourcing materials not in massive rolls?
Contact Left. They're the only real UK supplier of raw materials. Other than that, Brexit kind of messed us up. There's a lot of European sellers of fabric, but you've got to spend £135. Otherwise, they won't ship it to you because of Brexit. But I tend to buy now rolls of fabric straight from the mills that make it, or through like first line distributors. But if Contact Left don't have it, hit Dave up. He's the guy that runs it. He might be able to source it for you, or ask another stitcher. Like, I've got rolls of fabric, so if you need something, chances are I can sell you an offcut. Or one of the other guys. There's honestly tens, 20. Well, I know at least 30 odd other stitchers in the UK that will help.
There you go. Sorry, there's a whole load of comments and then there's loads of questions as well. So just trying to filter through. Ryan says, question, everyone does slightly different Bergen mods. Do you have any pics of what Bergens you have done before?
Very few. Bergen mods is something that I tend to not really take photos of because they're all the same, which kind of contradicts what Ryan said here. It's tricky. I can get photos for people. I can ask people to send photos back in if you want stuff, but they're generally like a water bottle pouch is a water bottle pouch. A poncho pouch is a poncho pouch. Mesh sides is mesh sides. I tend to do very similar to the JJ style of Bergen padding, so the back padding and shoulder straps. Very similar. It's like spacer mesh with foam and fabric backing. They're not quite as rigid as someone like Dixie's because they put like a hard stiffener in, but I've found and from feedback that stiffener can dig into your shoulders. So mine are like nice and big and thick and padded, in the hopes that they don't dig in as much.
Okay, cool.
Going back to the rescue equipment, Adventures of Zulu says, I have a NATO stretcher that I'd like modded and some rope bags.
Yep. Yeah, it's up.
So cool.
Do you mod
Ed-
cot beds by
sorry.
any chance?
If it's making Lance's one slightly smaller, then yeah, I can do that.
I don't want it any smaller. No. I need about a foot more
what he
material
needs-
on the end to get the bastard pole in.
What he needs is can you put in some straps so that he can undo them and then have to tighten them up afterwards? 'Cause that-
Oh yeah, these invisible adjustment straps that aren't on it that were on it apparently.
Yeah.
Piss takers.
All I would say is if you're sending stuff in for mods, make sure you can strip it down. I don't want you shipping me a whole bloody cot bed.
It's not coming to you, mate. Don't worry. This is
It's in the bin. It's on fire.
fucking set fire to the fucking thing.
When people send Bergens in for moddings, I ask them to take the metal spines out the frame because it just adds shipping size and weight. Like you can fold a Bergen up such that it's a raw mail small parcel.
Ooh.
And I've got preferential rates with raw mail, so it costs me like £4 to ship Bergen.
Lovely.
Philip Dunn, he's from Australia. Good day. Do you?
G'day,
I was
Phil.
going to read it in an Australian accent. Then I'm not going to do that.
Oh,
do you have?
what a
Or can you
letdown.
source?
That's disappointing.
Do you have? No, I can't even do it. Do you have or can you source TPDU OzCam material? Sorry, Phil.
I've never explicitly looked. I see other people that have used it. I can almost certainly find some. I don't know how easy it is though. If it's the new like multicam TM colored OzCam, then it's probably going to be harder to find. But you're like your traditional woodland one and your desert one, probably a bit easier.
Cool. This is a cheeky one from Kenny Rebel. He says, "Is there a NoFo code for Mission Tailors?"
Oh, that's awkward.
When the website,
Yeah, that was-
yes. Yeah,
I could have done with that 4 years ago.
So you've got my word. As soon as the website is up, I can't really offer discounts on custom gear because I charge you for the time, and time is worth what time is worth. But for production kit, yeah, once the website's up, although it's been in development for 2 years, there will be a code.
Oh, cool.
Whatever that
Marvellous.
is, like, we'll
Thank
work
you
it
very
out.
much, sir. Very kind of you.
Not that might put you on the spot at all for that.
No, sorry, I wasn't trying to put you on the spot. I was just reading the questions out.
Reading the questions.
Just reading the
Reading the
questions.
questions.
Kenny, I'll give you the 20 quid later. Right, let's play another round of quick fire. Will you make a pouch for this, or a product for this? Jungle's Airsoft blog, an MTP Mankini.
We have Kajura. Quah.
Oh,
Yeah, chafing. Oof.
Oh.
He's like, no. No.
Terry has suggested a. Sorry, go on. Terry has suggested a collab with Kydex to create the Kydex multicam cock protector.
Okay.
I don't know if that's
As
like a
in-
condom or
Is that it's like a
like a
sheath
cup
or
or
a more
Sheath.
ballistic nappy thing? Oh,
Ballistic
dear.
nappy.
Probably
Nonsense.
Ed says, would you make a pouch for an SMG that dangles? He also says he's not saying it's a good idea, he just felt forced to make the suggestion.
By Mike.
By Mike. You've got to add that bit.
By Mike.
Pouch for an SMG that dangles.
Dangles. So does the
I don't even know
SMG
what that
dangle, or does the pouch dangle once the SMG's
I guess
in
think about it along the lines of maybe he's got it on a sling. Maybe it's just like a pouch for the SMG to go in, almost like a cover.
I'm
I'm
a
guessing.
rifle slip. Something like a rifle slip.
Yeah.
Probably, but an SMG is pretty big. So practicality wise, probably wouldn't do it.
it? Bloody snipers and their
Okay.
nonsense they come out with.
There was also a comment Ed made about the Jaffa cake thing. He said you wouldn't have to pay taxes on it as it's technically a cake pouch, not a biscuit pouch. So there you go.
Yep.
Mhm.
Sounds good. To me.
Sam Rich, serious question. Is grade 2 surplus equipment worth getting with the consideration to repair, or is it just better to go with new/light use? So obviously grade 2 is kind of not battered, but it's got some signs of wear and tear. You obviously get grade 1, super grade, and new. I think they're the
Yeah.
two
So
categories, aren't
gradings are very subjective. It depends what's wrong. If it's a DPM Bergen and it's just brown, throw it away. If it's things like buckles or replacing webbing straps and stuff like that, then yeah, I'd do it because I'm all for keeping kit going as long as it will last. But as we kind of mentioned earlier with the Bergen, like the materials do start to degrade, the water repellent nature of the materials starts to disappear. So it would depend what it is. If it's just buckles and clips and bits of webbing, yeah, absolutely.
Would you, on that subject, Jacob? There, would you say it's good practice to regularly treat like Bergens with a water repellent spray or some sort of solution, or do you have?
I wouldn't do it as preventative maintenance. I would do it as, oh shit, my kit's getting wet.
Right.
Just because the chances are whatever treatment you're putting on it, it's not going to be the same treatment that's already on there, so it might not like gel with it nicely.
Okay.
But for if you want something to be 100% waterproof, obviously you can't really get 100% waterproof. I'd put it in a dry bag.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I genuinely thought you were going to start suggesting like PVA glue it or something like that. Like just paint it in.
So one thing that is quite good that I use quite a lot, and it's tent seam sealant, and it's like a little bottle with a little brush on it, and it's really good for dabbing on like the seams of stuff. So obviously when you sew through something, the needle creates a hole, and a hole is not waterproof by definition. But I only really use that on stuff that is like a Bergen cover or stuff like that. Like generally your pouches will be waterproof enough. But that stuff's really good for just touching up. If you if you see like with the Bergen earlier, if there's just one patch that's starting to flake off, just stick some of that on, just on that patch and see how it goes.
Yeah, I use that on my zip that I added to my bivvy bag where I'd stitch the zip on. I use it along the seam of that, give it a good coating.
Yep.
So hopefully, fingers crossed, that does its job. Have you ever waxed any kit, Jacob?
No. It's something that I would look into doing, mostly for like fieldcraft type stuff, like wax canvas. Looks really fun to work with.
Yeah.
But no, I've not waxed anything.
Okay. Interesting.
Last few questions and comments. Stephen Whitehead says you're not a man unless you've nicked a stowage strap from a Chair Force Hercules and then worked it into your webbing kit.
That's the roller buckle.
Yeah.
Take says, do you wholesale your products, or are you waiting until you get some minions to help you?
I do wholesale products. It would be a lot easier once I've got minions. But no, as Mike pulled the photo up earlier, I do wholesale stuff for Sterling Airsoft. No, not Sterling Timepieces. Completely different company. And I do other wholesale stuff for other companies. Yeah. And I also make like OEM stuff. So they've got a product and I will make batches of that for them because they don't have time to make it. Stuff like that. So yeah, if Tag, if you need some stuff, hit me up.
Cool.
Yeah.
Like the sound of that.
It says, if I want to make my own knee pads, what material should I use? I have the pockets for them, but the ones I've tried keep twisting around the knee.
I'm assuming internal knee pads, so not like the Cry insert ones. Foam. You can any sort of closed cell foam. Yeah. If it's like an external knee pad, again, closed cell foam, and you could probably coat it with, like, put a 1000D Cordura fabric over it. It's got pretty good abrasion resistance, but it will, like, if you're John Wick's knee sliding through whatever, you're gonna tear it up pretty quick. Like, nothing is completely abrasion resistant.
Cool. Last question. Kenny says, I'm carrying an MP7 on a bungee shoulder rig, and I'm trying to make something to stow it when using a pistol, like a Velcro holder on a belt. Would you know, is that something that you could make?
Probably. Probably. One thing, I mean, I don't know what, if it's just temporary storage, I have recently made a few magnetic panels. So a little molly panel that's like yay big with a big fucking magnet in it. And it was for some guys, serving guys for their shotguns. So they would have their shotgun, you know, breach through a door or whatever, and then you can just like magnet it to your side and then pick the rifle up and crack on. So if it's for temporary storage, like a magnetic holder would probably be your best bet, or something like that, because my concern would be it kicking around too much, and if you're putting it in a bag, it's just going to get bigger.
Yeah, that's a good shout with a magnet. That's similar to your one for your sledgehammer, Mike, isn't it? That you've not used yet.
I use it. I use it to hold the camo net up on my.
Oh, fucking hell.
It's that thing there that's holding that on there. It works perfectly against that. I've just not used it for anything else. It's a really good magnet. But thank you. Yeah. So, right, there was a few questions that came in, or not really questions, but just comments I'm just going to cover off just before we end the show. Rich Nelson said, how was your NAF? Didn't see you guys to say hi to you. We're going to be doing an NAF debrief next week. We're going to be having Silly Gilly on the show as well, because he was at NAF. So we're going to be having
Being silly as ever.
A debrief on NAF, NAE, as well as a bit of a general Q&A on airsoft milsim, sniping, all that sort of stuff. So it should be an interesting one to come and watch. So that'll be Wednesday at 8 o'clock next week.
8 o'clock,
James
not 7:40.
Yeah. James Hamilton says, is the Keeler just a waterproof layer, or does it have a thermal padded layer? It's just the waterproof layer. So it's got 2 layers of... I'll say that. No, yeah, it's just the waterproof layer. I think the arms have a bit of a padding on there, but it's not really a padded product. So if anyone... Yeah.
60s power shoulders.
Yeah. I've actually, funnily enough, just before the show, queued up another one because I might buy another one. Because I might have one in my kit and one in my car. No, not for you. Ryan says, what is it with engineers and sewing, Lance?
Love a bit of sewing, mate. It's good fun. I forgot to mention, I actually upcycled the original pouch that comes on the front of the Bergen, and I put it on the lid of my Bergen. I've got a little stow pouch now. Rather than it going to waste, I reused it because I am saving the planet one stitch at a time. There we go.
Sam Rich would like a workshop tour at some point, so that might be something, Jacob, that you could do on your Instagram as your next post. Just
that'd be cool. Yeah. A day in the life of
workshop live.
Yeah. I did.
I'd genuinely be interested to see the process of a pouch from sort of like design to finished product. That would actually be a really cool thing to see if you could do that.
Yeah, there's a guy in the States, I can't remember his name or what his company is, but he like live streams himself just building stuff. But he has a lot of shit to chat about, and my life's pretty boring. So I always toyed with the idea of doing like a live stream of just, you know, talking bollocks and stitching stuff together. But
we've done it for an hour and 44 minutes, so.
You can always just take some clips and then stitch them together.
Boom boom. Hey, double Fonzie.
Yeah, a workshop for it is on the cards once it's a bit tidier, because as I explained to the guys before the show started, everything's within arm's reach of me right now. So I've got a sewing machine there, and all my stuff, bags of buckles and and rolls of Velcro. It's all in arm's reach. So, as I said, I have moved recently-ish, nearly a year now. Once
Yet to
it's sorted
unpack.
out. Yeah. Workshop tour, absolutely.
Cool.
Sounds cool.
Jungle's Airsoft blog has already added a Jack H2 to the shopping list. You'll be pleased to know.
Really good machine. They're bloody cheap for what they are. So I think I paid like 600 quid for mine. Bloody cheap, and it'll go, as I said, it'll go through anything that fits under the needle. Anything that goes under the needle, it'll go through, including your fingers. So be careful.
Oh,
terrifying. And is that a machine that's got a needle underneath as well? It's like for both sides. So it's like dual threaded, and it goes. Yeah, that's fucking terrifying.
Yeah. Go straight through your finger.
James C says, I love my little Singer 28K. Want to get one of those patcher sewing machines in the future.
Yep. So what I would recommend is all those old Singers are bloody brilliant. I wish, rather than buying that cheap shit of plastic thing I bought there, I bought one of the old Singers, because they will go through anything, and it's a 100-year-old kit. As long as they've been looked after, will work fine. And the 28K is pretty good. And they must be cheap, because there was a high street shop a few years ago where you'd go, I think it was like Urban Outfitters or something, and they always had loads of old sewing machines in the front windows. You must be able to pick them up pretty cheap.
Oh yes, I've seen that in a bar as well, like hundreds and hundreds of sewing machines, just for decorative purposes. I'll see if I'm going to swipe one next time. I don't think they're bolted down.
Not that we can condone that.
Some posh Weatherspoons in London somewhere, I'm sure I saw a big wall of sewing machines.
Ryan James says, Jacob, you need to tell Virtus to use standard molly sizing.
Yep, or tell the MOD not to buy from Source.
Tell the MOD not to be arses.
And a little shout out to Jamu, Yo Boys, watching while building my new kit room. So I hope that's going well, bud.
Oh yeah, pictures of that, please.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm not going to show
and then
the moment.
Last question was from Pegasus. This rip-off radio pouch, is it Velcro, and how much?
Look at his face. He's like,
I'm not saying a word because I can't remember.
Yes, it is Velcro, and it is it is money.
It costs.
It is money.
In all seriousness, no. Somewhere off the top of my head, somewhere between 50 quid and £100, depending on how many panels you want, how many radios you want to stuff in it.
I
don't think my wife's listening now, so that's fine.
No, I if I'm honest, Lance, what I charged you would have been nowhere near that. Nowhere near that. I undersold myself back in the day.
I think Lance won it in a raffle. So
yes, it was completely.
That's right. That's what I told my missus. I won this. Look what I won. What I won. Isn't it great? No, I love it, mate. I do genuinely love it. Thank you very much. It's got access ports on the side, so if in case you didn't know, there's little points in there to run your cables through. And obviously you can, if you've got a lot of longer cords, you can just elasticate on the side, so you can like bunch it all together and stick it in there. Because I always move my comms from kit to kit, so I don't have it all woven through my plate carrier. I have it in there with a fucking loom of cable coming up with an antenna and a press or whatever, and then just go bosh onto my kit or onto there or onto my chest rig or onto my bag, and that's it. It's just nice and easy. That's what I do. I love it.
Cool.
Woohoo!
If you want to get in touch with Jacob, how can people get in touch with you?
Good luck. I'm rubbish at replying. I'm so busy.
Basically that.
Instagram's the best place. So at Mission Tailors, at Mission Tailors on Instagram. Don't try and contact me on Facebook. Facebook Messenger, Business Suite, whatever they call it these days, is rubbish. So Instagram.
Cool. In the meantime, if you want to get in touch with the show, you can also do that on our email at nofochat@hotmail.com. Our Instagram is at November_Foxtrot_NoFo, and the website is novemberfoxtrot.co.uk. If you have any questions for Jacob and for some reason you can't find him on Instagram, give us a hit up. We can always pass those along to him. You can also get
He
in touch
won't
with
answer
us.
us either.
No. You can also get in touch with us on our own individual Instagrams, which are just below our names, at 9volt airsoft, at @callsign_quartermaster, and at @the_punished_1_. Next week, we're going to be talking about the National Airsoft Festival with City Gillies, so please feel free to join us for that. It should be a good one. Jacob, thanks ever so much for coming on. It's a real pleasure. And I must say, that I ended the last episode. I ended the last episode thinking that you'd been on the show before. So apologies for anyone that got confused by that. I had a proper brain fart for an hour because I was adamant that we'd spoken before.
I've literally got a picture of you
it's been very
with your
helpful.
mind broken.
You're just like... Yeah, I was like, Mike, I had to explain to him, no, Mike, that was a video call. We did a video call with Jacob. Oh, yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
I've got a bit confused. That's right, not problem at all.
Brilliant.
Lovely, it was brilliant. Mate.
We normally do some closing words. I wondered if you might have any closing words for us, for the audience.
Whoa.
Not to put you on the spot.
Like deep philosophical ones, or just...
It can be whatever you want.
More than
I did one once talking about poo, so...
Okay, well, if you're going to make gear, and if you want to dabble in gear, only use YKK zipper.
Yes.
There you go.
There we go.
YKK
Wise
zippers are
words.
the best.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I hope everyone
I'll tell you what,
enjoyed
actually,
the show.
we should collect all these closing statements into a little. We could do like a little book of the closing statements.
The closing
say 2023
statements.
or whatever. Might be quite nice.
Yeah. On the calendar.
Or not. That's probably the first one that's actually been like genuinely helpful to anybody.
Oh no, I think Tay did a helpful one, didn't he?
What did he say?
It seems to be the guests that give more
yeah, because we're
reasonable
crap.
answers.
Yeah, we're the facilitators.
Right. Thanks everyone so much for joining us. We'll be back next week. In the meantime, stay NoFo.
Yeah. Stay NoFo, guys.
Ciao, Bella.
Say bye, guys.
Oh, hit the
Bye,
like
guys.
button if you like the show.
Oh yeah, like all them, like, or do all those things. Leave reviews.
All them likes.
Mike can read them out in
We
a
need
silly
to-
accent.
Yeah.
Getting quite annoyed now that no one's doing it. They're not listening to us.
I haven't checked, to be fair, recently, so I will check before next week.
Right, okay. Might have a barrage of reviews to read out. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Right. We'll see you all next
Right.
week. See you later.
Cheers, guys.
See you later.
Right.
Bye.